So hello and welcome friends to this newest video about the Bitcoin price action and the crypto market in general. Wow, what a day this has been yesterday. Bitcoin broke out with brutal action to the upside. What a pleasant surprise. So what exactly does that mean now for the crypto market in general? Will we have the 4-year cycle after all? Will we go to $150,000 by the end of the year? Or is this just a fake breakout and Bitcoin will return to lower prices? But before we start, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just a weird guy on YouTube talking randomly about coins, cryptocurrencies and so on. So please don't do anything based on what I'm saying. Always do your proper research before investing. Thank you very much. Now that this is out of the way, let's get started. So what did we see yesterday? Yesterday was a pleasant day in the crypto market. As always, let's start with our long-term chart. Here you see the long-term chart. I have some indicators in here. Here's the RSI, the relative strength index. We use it very often. Here's another very interesting indicator, the Bollinger band. Okay, so the Bollinger band does the following. The Bollinger band is pretty wide when there are large moves. You can see here that the Bollinger band, here's the blue band is the upper and lower band, and here the orange line is the middle band. And every time we have a large move to the upside or downside, the Bollinger band widens. Okay, so look how it goes down here. And if there's for longer periods of time some sideways action, the Bollinger band gets narrow again. Okay, so it's indicating that we might have a strong move expecting or coming up. We can see that the Bollinger band was really narrow, like in end of September 2020 when it started going upwards. We see that the Bollinger band was really narrow in March 2019 before we had the break to the upside, okay, when it started pumping to 14,000 after the low of December 2018. We had a really narrow Bollinger band in October 2016. We had a narrow Bollinger band in summer 2015, okay? So always before big breakouts, the Bollinger band is narrow. Why am I telling you so much about the Bollinger band? Well, because we can see that in the 3-day chart, the Bollinger band is already very narrow, okay? It's like, here it was very narrow in May 2021 before the drop down to 30,000. From over 50,000, right? Then it was very narrow, also like in July 2021, which coincidentally happened when Bitcoin started breaking out to the upside from 30,000 to over 50,000. And now look how narrow it is becoming again, okay? So it's clear that kind of a big move had to happen sooner or later. That is clear. Now, what I was saying in the last videos was basically that we would go down to 37,000, right? I was saying here, the first video, I released it when we were at 48,000, and I was saying, hey, we will go down to 37,000. How did I get to that? Well, because here is a strong support level, and because that whole structure here is a wick of distribution pattern, the same one we had here. So this is really the similar structure. And if you look how far down we went down to this support level here, okay? So we went down to basically that support level, right? So this would correspond to this level here. So I was thinking, okay, we will go down to 37,000. Turns out I was a bit too pessimistic. We only went down to 39,500. Okay, so I was a bit too pessimistic. And if we are lucky now, okay, if we are lucky, it means that we could indeed not go to lower prices anymore. So let's look at the weekly chart here. And basically what happens here, like we got a strong weekly candle. And if we are lucky, this means that 39,500 was the low and not 37,000. And that we will go upwards and have a rally towards the end of the year, like the 4-year cycle, how many people are expecting it. For me, this is like, if everyone expects it, normally the probability is increasing that it doesn't happen. You know, if everyone expects one thing, normally it doesn't happen exactly like that. So I would still be like very surprised if we just get like the 4-year cycle as the last time. But it's not impossible, of course. It can happen. And hey, maybe it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? But what is the driver for this mood? Well, it's our famous dollar index. So the dollar index surprisingly hit this upper end of the megaphone structure I was talking about in the last videos, and it hit the upper limit basically like it did here, you know, here, it always hit the upper resistance line, and here it hit the lower resistance line, right? So now it went up to the upper resistance line, and if we are lucky now, the dollar could not pass the resistance line, go back to the lower line, and then break to the downside. And it will break down sooner or later to the downside, because we found that the dollar index which is the main price driver for Bitcoin, besides Bitcoin adoption and the halving. But the dollar index is a very important price driver for Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is inversely correlated to the dollar index. So we found the dollar index has a very strong bearish divergence in the long-term monthly chart, meaning the RSI is dropping, so it's making lower highs, whereas the price is constant or rising. So this means on longer time frames the dollar is bearish, so it will break down sooner or later. We cannot say exactly when. We can say on the time frame of months, okay? So from now on until, I don't know, a few months into the future. I was being more pessimistic. I thought the dollar index would start dropping in the next months at some point, but if we are lucky, it will start already dropping now. So if it does not go through this upper resistance line I drew before in the daily chart, this means that it will go down now from here in a process that will take quite a few months, okay? What does this mean in turn? This means, of course, in turn that our friend Bitcoin here will do the exact opposite and will go upwards to the upper end of our famous long-term curved logarithmic trend channel, which is in November at 140,000. So depending on when we reach the peak, the prices are of course different, you know, because the trend channel is rising with time. So this means if we hit the top already in November or end of November, we are at 140,000. If we reach it in March 2022, we are at 165,000. If we reach it in October 2022, we are at 213,000, and so on and so forth. So depending on how long the cycle will be this time, we will hit a high of over 100,000, but we don't know if it's 140,000. So if it happens pretty soon, by the end of this year, it's more like 140,000. Or if we hit the upper band later, sometime in 2022, it can be as high as over 200,000. But we don't know how fast this will happen. And please don't believe anyone who tells you, yes, this or this is going to happen. The truth is, no one knows, okay? We are looking at indicators here. We are making best guesses based on some logical assumptions. For example, the 4-year cycle, will it hold this time or not? Are the cycles lengthening or not? What will the dollar index do? You know, when will the dollar drop? Because that is the main price driver for Bitcoin price movements. All these things we have to take into account, and no one knows exactly when Bitcoin will pump and how high it will go, okay? We are using indicators here, so this gives us a small advantage over the market. So please don't believe anyone that tells you like this or this is certainly going to happen. So this weekly candle we got now looks really not bad. And if Bitcoin continues pumping, and if the dollar turns out to be weaker than we thought, we could indeed have a rally like until the end of the year, in December 2021, to 144,000, okay? That could happen. It's not impossible. So for example, we could have a few weekly bars like here from December 2020 until March 2021. If we overlay that growth that we had back then here, it would perfectly fit. See, it would go to 148,000 by late December 2021. But we don't know yet for sure if this will happen. This is now a possibility that has been enabled by the aggressive outbreak of Bitcoin yesterday to the upside. Now, what does this mean for our altcoin market? Let's look at the altcoin market. And our altcoin market is denoted in TradingView. By the way, I always use TradingView here if you're wondering how do I visualize the charts. TradingView.com. I put a link in the description. I also publish many charts on tradingview.com, link in the description where you can follow me. So the total market cap without Bitcoin is the crypto market cap of the altcoin market, okay? So this is the total altcoin market cap. You can see the rise of the altcoins from April 2014 here and how it reached the peak in January 2018. Also interesting, it reached the peak in January 2018. So this was 1 month after Bitcoin reached its peak. Very important because the altcoins are lagging behind Bitcoin. That's a very important rule of the crypto market. So if Bitcoin breaks up to the upside, the altcoins will not instantly follow. There are many laggards, okay? There are many altcoins lagging behind, and how much they lag behind is different for every altcoin. So some aren't lagging behind as much and others are lagging behind by months. We are talking months here, okay? So it can happen that Bitcoin reaches the peak and the altcoins reach the peak 1, 2, or even 3 months later. So the altcoin market cap looks totally different than Bitcoin. We have some kind of a double top here, and if you are lucky and we break through this resistance area here, we get some kind of cup and handle formation, okay? A cup and handle formation is also very important. So it's making something like this, pulls back down again and goes through and goes to much higher values. This is called a cup and handle. It's a very, very bullish formation. And since the altcoin market is lagging behind Bitcoin, this means that if Bitcoin reaches the top this year in November or December, the altcoins will reach the top 1 month later, some even, as we said, 2 months later, okay? So it can happen that Bitcoin reaches the top in, say on the 20th of December, and we have an altcoin, random altcoin XYZ, reaches the top in February 2022. It can happen in this crazy market. Always keep that in mind, okay? So let's compare the price action of Bitcoin with an altcoin. I take XRP. I like XRP because it's a really brutal coin to hold and it doesn't do anything for a long period of time and then suddenly it goes berserk. And it always lags behind Bitcoin by 1 or 2 months, okay? So it's one of the laggiest altcoins on the market. It won't do anything for a long period of time and then suddenly, bam, it goes berserk. So what did it do in 2017? Well, Bitcoin reached the peak on the 11th of December 2017, and you can see that this is actually when XRP even started pumping. So it did one pump already before, like in mid 2017, and then it went sideways for a long period of time. As we can see here, for half a year it didn't do anything. So Bitcoin was rising during that time, right? It was rising like crazy. Look, it went from 1,500 to an incredible 20,000. Now imagine that Bitcoin tenfolded, okay, tenfolded during that period of time, and XRP was not doing nothing. It was going sideways. And then when Bitcoin reached the top on the 11th of December 2017, that's when XRP started actually pumping. So it started pumping when Bitcoin reached the top, and then it reached the final peak, XRP, in the first week of January 2018, okay? So it reached the peak almost 1 month after BTC. And this is not only XRP. Let's, for example, take a look at Ethereum. What can we see? We can see Ethereum reached the peak also in the first week of January 2018. Actually, it even still was at the peak price in the second week of January 2018. So Ethereum reached the peak of the last market cycle a full month after BTC. So the altcoins are lagging behind BTC. This is an important observation in the crypto market. So for us, that means now that with this insane Bitcoin price action, if we are lucky and Bitcoin does a rally until the end of the year, it will reach 150,000 or 140,000. The altcoin market will also pump like crazy. Many altcoins will pump, and many of them will reach the top only 1 month after Bitcoin has reached the peak, okay? That is how this market works. So can we already celebrate and say this is a done deal now? Bitcoin will pump to 140,000 until the end of the year? The answer is nobody knows, friends. This is a good indicator now that Bitcoin started pumping yesterday. If this continues now, and this will strongly depend on external world events, okay, this will also depend on how the dollar will perform, how the stock market will perform, we could get lucky and see a bull run until the end of the year. Everyone is hoping for that, but we could also see something new happen. Bitcoin keeps creeping upwards and does something new, like, I don't know, maybe something like makes a high and then goes down again, goes up again, and kind of like creeps upward and reaches the top, I don't know, in mid 2022. This could also happen. Or if we're lucky, it just keeps pumping and we get a high of 144,000 by the end of the year. And with it, the whole altcoin market will of course also rise. So let's keep an eye on this. And next time, I will tell you the strategy of how to use the delay between Bitcoin and the altcoins in order to rotate your money into the market in an effective way and get like a very, very good return of invest. Okay, so thanks for watching and see you next time.